Welcome back to the Charismatic Voice and to My Choice Tuesday. Today we're going to be taking an in-depth look at singer Andra Day. I was first introduced to Andra Day by a student who was working on her song Rise Up. And I heard just a little snippet of her then, and I remember being so struck by this voice, thinking, wow, there's so much emotion and power. And I briefly heard a few other songs as well, and I just really want to do an in-depth analysis of her. So I'm really excited to get to do that. We'll be looking at her song Rise Up, but the acoustic version of it, which I've never heard, and I'm hoping it will offer us an even greater opportunity to look in depth at what she sounds like. Andra Day is a fairly new artist to the scene. She released her debut album in 2015. And this album was met with great acclaim. It was nominated for a Grammy for Best R&B Album, and also she was nominated for a Grammy for her performance of Rise Up on that album. Now, in addition to that, I am feeling very excited about her because she recently played the role of Billie Holiday, and she won the Golden Globe for that performance. I've not watched that yet, but I am definitely planning to. But I wanted to do this analysis initially of her first on the channel. Before I do that, we might even do a little bit of Billie Holiday analysis later on. But for now, let's check out Rise Up, the acoustic version.
Rise Up is just a song about any type of relationship. It's actually really just about, I look at everyone as we are all brothers and sisters, and we are all sort of a body working together, So Rise Up is really about saying one piece isn't better than the other, and when this part is struggling, I'm gonna help you, I'm gonna lift you up, I'll be that. If you're going through pain, I'll go through the pain with you, if you're celebrating, I'll celebrate with you, So it's just sort of saying, I will rise up for you.
Broken down and tired of living life on a merry-go-round. You can't find a fighter, but I see it in you, so we gon' walk it out. Move mountains, we gon' walk it out. Mountains, and I rise up, I rise like the day, I rise up.
Oh gosh. Her voice just it's pouring out emotion in all of the ways. I love the sound. Wow. It's like an emotional anvil that just drops on you the moment you start to hear her sing. I love this so much. And you can even see in the way she's singing here, she's singing with all of her heart. Wow. If you go back and watch this video in full, which I really, really encourage you to do, we'll provide a link to the original video in the About section of this. She has a lovely section where she talks about what Rise Up means and essentially supporting each other as you go through times of conflict or pain. Great messaging. Love that too. It sounds to me like she has such a clear idea of the emotion that she wants to communicate to a person. And once you have that emotion in sight, a lot of times any extra thoughts about vocal technique can just be set to the side. Yeah, you need to practice vocal technique. You need to learn how to sing the right way and learn how to sing without hurting yourself. But once you've got that mostly figured out, you can take it and you can set it to the side, let it work for you so you can just communicate emotion. And that is where she's at. She is just communicating a really, really beautiful message here. I'm going to go back to the beginning. There was tons of awesome vocal technique moments I want to talk about too, but the primary thing that I'm feeling is just gorgeous message already. Whew. Let's start here.
I see it in you,
Maybe.
and I fight it. I see it in you, so we gon' walk it out. Move taste. We can walk it out. Ooh, mountain taste.
Okay. The flip into head voice is so gorgeous. She's singing it all on Move, right? And it's really interesting to hear her move in and out of like more airiness in the tone. And she's playing on like the onset of the vocal fold. So she's kind of, it's like adding almost little bits of articulation with the coming together of when those folds come together, and then having some silence between as well. Really interesting style for playing around with that sound, allowing silence in certain places. And normally if you're like really into classical music or musical theater too, a lot of times we say don't breathe in the middle of the words, but because of the way that she's playing with this ornamentation, it makes sense. But on top of that, I love the breathiness and the tenderness of the head voice. It has a more fragile feel than chest voice does. I love that she has that, but at the same time, she has a certain earthiness to her tone that comes in, and the head voice at places is really, really beautiful, and just this gorgeous tonal balance. I love it.
And I rise up, I rise like the day, I rise up, I rise unafraid, I rise up, and I do it 1,000 times again. And I rise up, I like the waves, I rise up, in spite of the ache, I rise up, and I do it 1,000 times again.
Wow, like tears in the eyes. Oh my goodness, this message is so powerful. Wow. Wow. She's killing this. The longing that you hear in her voice as she's singing Rise Up is incredible. She's taken that full belt up there, so it makes sense. You hear this engagement that feels like it's coming from the bottom of her soul to say rise up. I love this messaging of essentially saying like continue through it, keep on going. And it's awesome also because it's not just rising up for you as an individual, but she's saying that she'll rise up for another person. And that is such a beautiful and encouraging message, an encouraging message of solidarity. Wow, it's so gorgeous. And you can hear that she believes it with 100,000% of her soul. Wow. This is so stunning. Man, I feel so unworthy to even talk about this emotional messaging. It is so perfect and wonderful. I love it.
When the silence is quiet, and it feels like it's getting hard to breathe, and I know you feel like dying, but I promise we'll take the world to its feet. Ooh, mountain, bring it to its feet. Ooh, mountain.
I love that extra piano chord, essentially like rising the harmony and then resolving it again to think about that moving of mountains in there. I keep hearing these really fun ways that she's creating silence within her riffs. I think that's fascinating, really, really fascinating. I'm going to go back a little bit more. Her voice, it's got like almost an Amy Winehouse, even like Jen Wigmore kind of drive in it at times, but then she's able to go really soft. It does remind me a little bit of Rihanna, actually. where she's able to go into this like really soft, beautiful head voice or this really powerful, driven chest voice. I love the production of it. She doesn't seem like she's really using a ton of tension or anything to create this powerful chest voice. And she also has a certain huskiness at the same time. Oh man, there's so many levels and layers to her voice. It's really awesome. Okay, I'm gonna just nerd out about her voice for a while.
When the silence is quiet and it feels like it's getting hard to breathe, and I know you feel like dying, but
that right there on the die-in, how she's ornamenting that or doing her riff on it. She puts this like extra silence in it. I think she might be playing a little bit with the break of her voice to try like get that silence in there. Right. Oh, it's so interesting. I hear on the chords like this like quick little almost like a shift that she's doing to get that silence within a run. It's really, really cool.
And I know you feel like dying, but
it's almost like when your voice stops when you're really emotional about something, the way that you have like this like freeze up where the vocal folds don't come together for just a second, but she's using it as a method of stylization that sounds really emotional too. I love it.
And I know you feel like dying, but I promise we'll take the world to its feet. Ooh, mountains, bring it to its feet. Ooh, mountains, and I'll rise up, I'll rise like the day, I'll rise up.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about what's happening in her body. I love that most of the time her eyes are closed. She's just thinking about communicating that message, just using her voice essentially to be a conduit of emotion and message. Beautiful, beautiful focus. She reminds me a little bit of Aurora in the way that her eyes are closed most of the time. And she has hand movement not as intricate as Aurora's, but you can tell that she's using her hands to help her get that message out too. By the way, anybody that does recording, if you don't use your hands, you should experiment with that. It's really, really, really helpful to sort of paint the idea of what you're singing with your hands or just be expressive with them. It definitely adds a level of expression and often helps with vocal technique in ways that you can't even break down into tiny pieces. It's like, let's put everything together in a beautiful hand painting and vocal painting. So you see some of her hands here doing that. And when she breathes, you see it fill up, but she's not doing like just shoulder breathing. Like you see a lift and settle back down. But overall, the breath is mostly being contained really low and centered in her body. And that's great. That's great breathing. When she goes up to high note, like when she first belts out Rise Up, she's pretty still here. It looks like she's really maintaining a very neutral laryngeal position. So it's not making her larynx hike up and she's not just blasting air at that belted note. Lots of really great technique happening here. Look at this.
Do his feet. Ooh, mountains, and I rise up.
See, look at how still and I'll rise up. It's great. A lot of people will be like, oh, I'm gonna belt here. And she's just totally still and totally neutral.
Mountains, and I rise up. I rise like the day. I rise up. I rise unafraid. I rise up, and I do it 1,000 times again.
Ooh. Oh, I love the way she's again the stylization on the U's. She's got such an interesting developed style. I love it. So she's using an H U essentially like tossing a little extra air as she's in the head voice and tossing like a little puff of air up to kind of float up, and having an H to basically get that air to go like whoop up there. Really, really, really fun. Oh man, okay, I'm gonna go back a little bit. Oh, thousand. It was interesting how she changed the diction on thousand and brought it to a more closed frontal vowel that can have a little more of this like facial bam resonance laser, right? It's so good.
Yeah.
Oh, one more time.
And I do it 1,000 times again.
Hear that mouth? Some nice sneaky breath she got in there too.
All we need is hope, and for that we have each other, and for that we have each other.
Shivers and watery eyes again. Wow, the emotional packing of this is so incredible. Like this is like on Johnny Cash level of hurt. Like wow, 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 so amazing. I love the way that she is using that whole body to belt with the sound. There were times when I heard again that like Amy Winehouse laser focus on that sound is just fantastic. I realized as she was singing, every now and then she has a huskiness. It actually reminds me a little bit of Tina Turner. Very, very interesting. That's where the huskiness was. I love this blend of different kinds of tones here. I want to go back and listen to this bridge again. There was so much to unpack in here. There.
And for that we have each other.
It was just so beautiful. You see engagement from the body, but you don't see her like, again, hefting any air, like this larynx going like, ooh, the moment she's going up for a high belted note there. It looks like she's leaning into her support so beautifully to get these belted notes out. Wow, one more time. Wow. This is an amazing view. I think she's doing a great job with the mouth shapes too, right? That she's using her singing hole real well. You see lots of opening in the mouth, and that's really good. A lot of times people feel nervous about sounds coming up and they won't open as much. To sing, you need to open your mouth more than when you speak. And this is just a great example of someone who has very casual diction in her singing, right? It's meant to feel not formal at all. It's like we're talking to a friend, but that doesn't mean you don't need to open your mouth. And she's doing a great job of opening her mouth here, and just the message is killer. It's so good.
I'll rise up, I like the waves, I'll rise up.
Oh,
in spite of the ache, I will rise 1,000 times again, and we'll rise up.
Wow, I love the shift in tone here, the quietness she gets.
I will rise 1,000 times again.
That one, she got up to times it was chest voice and then flipped into head voice really quickly. But I think the beginning of this, she might just be in a really light chest voice. She's able to add so much air to it, and that fragility in this top chest voice. I think, gotta listen to it again.
I'll rise up. I like the waves. I'll rise up.
Yeah, a lot of that is still in chest. She goes into head in a couple of spots, but wow, it's really, really hard to even tell the differences there. That's great. That's amazing control.
I'll rise. I'll rise up. I like the waves. I'll rise up. In spite of the ache, I will rise 1,000 times again.
Okay, just one more thing about that section. I realized that some of her ornamentation, it reminds me of jazz specifically. So I must think, I bet that Billie Holiday was an influence on her. I hear some of that already here. I don't think that's just because I'm thinking, oh, she played this role. I think that's already in her voice. I bet that was a very big influence for her. But I hear some jazz ornamentation influence in here, and I think that might be a little bit where even some L ornamentation, like where that break in the sound sometimes comes from. So good.
And we'll rise up. I like the waves. We'll rise up. In spite of the ache, we'll rise up. And we'll do it 1,000 times again.
Yeah, that top part, that totally sounded very Ella to me, very Ella Fitzgerald. Love the bare feet. It is good to sing in bare feet. I hate performing in heels, not gonna lie. I feel like I can't get grounded into a stage enough. Yes, we do it. Yes, you can still be grounded, but when you're in bare feet, I think feels like my feet can be in the ground so that my support can go down into the ground as well. And when you think about that, if you think about your support being all the way down in the ground, yes, it isn't actually there, but you're able to essentially drop that support lower, which means you can belt higher. Ah, it's beautiful. Oh.
We will rise.
I want to go back and listen to this last section all the way through again, because the really important thing in this is the messaging. And sometimes when you pause and you analyze, that messaging just isn't as clear. I definitely have moments of goosebumps and water in my eyes, but I just want to go back and listen to this and just let it emotionally roll over me.
And we'll rise up. I like the waves. We'll rise up. In spite of the ache, we'll rise up. And we'll do it 1,000 times again. We will rise.
The song is so beautiful. I love it when the message is the primary thing in a song, when you just can't get past that emotional impact. And I can analyze the voice. I can tell you exactly why she's super amazing and good. But ultimately, it's this message and the way that she's able to communicate emotion that is so, so great. Now, if she didn't have some singing training already, or, have some breath in place, she wouldn't be able to as freely communicate that emotion. At the end, in this last section of some improv and moments where she's kind of, it sounds like sighs. And basically she's using this knowledge and ease and basically this love relationship that she has with her voice to be able to express that easily and just let it out as an expression. But that's got to happen after you've had some good training for years and years. I am so impressed by that solid foundation and technique that is completely used to connect with us. I love these words. I love the idea of helping someone else out when they're in times of trouble. I think it's really important to support each other. So it's just super, super amazing. Very inspiring performance in all of the ways. I want to know so much more about her. I'm so excited to watch I'd watch her play Billie Holiday. I think that's going to be amazing. And I hope that many of you will recommend other things by Andra Day to take a listen to and look at on the channel. I'm very inspired by her, so I want to see her more. So please make those comments down below this video. And you can also come and find me on YouTube on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Fridays at 8 a.m. Arizona time. That's when we have our live premieres, which are really, really fun to chat. And you can find me on Patreon and also at thecharismaticvoice.com. I'll see you somewhere soon.